Welcome back to Grammar Grade 12. I'm glad you're here. This is Unit 7, Lesson 57, and it's the last lesson of the unit. Today we finish our work on pronouns with a skill that ties everything together, making sure every pronoun points clearly and unmistakably to one specific antecedent. A pronoun is only as good as the noun it stands for. When that connection is fuzzy, even a grammatically perfect sentence can leave your reader confused. Let's learn to keep it crystal clear. Before we dig in, here's the whole idea of this lesson in one sentence. Every pronoun must point clearly and unmistakably to one specific noun, the antecedent it stands for. When it does, the reader glides right through. But pronouns cause trouble in three familiar ways. Sometimes a pronoun is ambiguous. It could point to two different people. Sometimes it's vague, an it, this, that, or which, floating with nothing solid to stand for. And sometimes we lean on a weak general you or they that names no one at all. The test is simple. If a reader has to stop and ask, who or what does this mean? The sentence needs a rewrite. Our whole job today is to make every pronoun unmistakable. Let's start with the first troublemaker, ambiguous reference. This happens when a pronoun could reasonably point to two different antecedents. Listen, Ryan told Marcus that he won. Now, who won? He could mean Ryan, or he could just as easily mean Marcus. The pronoun forks in two directions, and the reader is left guessing. There are two easy fixes. You can rearrange the sentence, or, simplest of all, you can just name the person. Ryan told Marcus that Marcus had won. Now there's no doubt at all. When two people are in play, name the one you mean, and all doubt vanishes. The second troublemaker is vague reference. Words like it, this, that, and which are supposed to stand for a specific noun, but we often let them point at a whole idea or at nothing we actually named. Take this. The report was late, which annoyed the boss. What annoyed the boss? There's no single noun for which to grab onto. It's reaching back at the entire situation. The fix is to give the pronoun a real noun, or to rewrite the sentence so nothing is left dangling. The boss was annoyed that the report was late. Every it, this, that, and which should have one clear noun standing behind it. If it doesn't, supply one. Here's a close cousin of vague reference, the phantom it and they. We say things like, on the sign it says no parking, but what is it? The sign itself is doing the saying, so just let the sign say it. The sign says no parking. The same thing happens with they. In the article, they claim prices will rise. Who is they? The article has authors, so name them. The authors claim prices will rise. Whenever an it or a they is standing in for no one in particular, replace that phantom word with the real noun you actually mean. The last troublemaker is the weak general you and they, the ones that mean people in general, but name no one. We say, in some countries, they drive on the left. But who is they? We don't mean any particular group. We mean the people who live there. So say exactly that. In some countries, people drive on the left. The same goes for the loose you, as in that class you have to write an essay every week. Better to say, in that class, students have to write an essay every week. When you catch yourself using you or they to mean everybody, stop and name the group. People, drivers, students, citizens. A named noun is always clearer than a vague pronoun. Let's turn all of that into a quick check you can run on any pronoun. 1. Could this pronoun point to two different antecedents? If so, it's ambiguous. Name the one you mean. 2. Does an it, this, that, or which have a real specific noun to stand for? If not, supply one or rewrite. 3. Do you or they actually name no one? Do they just mean people in general? Then name the group. And here's the single question underneath all three. If the reader has to stop and ask who or what this means, the sentence needs a rewrite. Run that check, and your pronouns will always be crystal clear. Let's practice. In this first set, I'll show you a sentence with a murky pronoun and two ways to write it. These three involve ambiguous or vague reference. Read each one, decide which version leaves no doubt, and pause before I reveal the answer. Lena told Priya that she had passed. Who passed here? Lena or Priya? The pronoun she could point to either one, so this sentence is ambiguous. The cleanest fix is to name the person or let Lena speak directly. Lena told Priya, "You passed." Now there's no question at all who the good news is about. The train was delayed, which made us miss the show. Notice that which has no single noun to stand for. It's reaching back at the whole idea of the delay. The fix is to turn that idea into a real noun and make it the subject. The delay made us miss the show. Clean, direct, and nothing left dangling. On the website, it says the store is closed. But what is it? The website itself is what's giving the information, so we don't need that empty it at all. Just let the website speak. The website says the store is closed. Whenever a thing can do the action itself, drop the phantom pronoun and name it. Now the second set. These mix in the weak general you and they, plus one more ambiguous case. For each, choose the version that leaves no doubt about who or what the pronoun means. Pause and decide before I answer. In Japan, they bow to show respect. Who is they? We don't mean any specific group. We mean the people who live there. So name them. In Japan, people bow to show respect. A named noun beats a vague they every time. At this school, you must wear a uniform. That you doesn't mean the listener personally. It means the students at the school. So say exactly that. At this school, students must wear a uniform. Whenever you catch a general you, ask who it really means and name them. Max emailed Noah after he finished the report. Who finished the report? Max or Noah? The pronoun he could be either, so it's ambiguous. Rearranging the sentence makes the doer clear. After Max finished the report, he emailed Noah. Now he can only mean Max, and the sentence reads cleanly. Let's gather what we've learned about clear pronoun reference. First, watch for ambiguous reference. When a pronoun could point to two people, name the one you mean, or rearrange the sentence so only one reading is possible. Second, guard against vague reference. Every it, this, that, and which needs one clear, specific noun standing behind it. If there isn't one, supply it or rewrite. And third, retire the weak general you and they that name no one. Put a real noun in their place, like people, students, or the authors. The single test ties it all together. If a reader has to stop and ask who or what does this mean, the sentence needs another pass. That completes Unit 7, using pronouns correctly. You now know how to make pronouns agree, choose the right case, and point every one of them clearly at its antecedent. Next time, in Lesson 58, we open Unit 8, using modifiers correctly, where we'll make sure our describing words land on exactly the right target. I'll see you there.